Good evening and welcome everybody to the sixth and final round of the GT3 Winter Challenge by RF2 Racingleague. My name is Sebastian Gerhart and I will be your host tonight together now with Lukas Schürmann. Good evening, Lukas.
Good evening, Sebastian, I don't know, but we'll have a great night here.
I hope so. Last time I couldn't be there, I was racing somewhere else myself. Of course, virtual racing. I'm not into real motorsports. And before that, you gladly, or I could gladly jump in for you and the other way around. So, but now for the final round, we are back together and I hope you will enjoy this race or those races together. Of course, it will be the same as always. 2 races after a 15-minute qualifying, and the pole sitter or the result of the qualifying will remain for both races. So the most important thing for tonight is the championship, because there is still a chance for 4 drivers to take the title tonight, but of course there are a few favorites we can look for this evening, and that's especially David Haas and the later into the season joined Christoph Michel, and I'm just looking where he is. Christian Michel, of course, quickest driver in the last few rounds, and you did the broadcasting, Lukas, for the last round in Spa-Francorchamps, and as I saw, Christian Michel again very, very successful.
Yeah, we saw very interesting 2 races in Spa. We had a few unlucky situations, we had lucky situations, and it was pretty thrilling. In the first race, for one of the unlucky situations, it was Juan Guerra who ran out of fuel just before the finish line, and then he had a DNF, leading to a loss of his positions. We had not many crashes, we had like 1 or 2, I think. And yeah, it were pretty good races, and it came all out for good for Juan Guerra in the second race, and Christian Michel, he just wrecked it. He was pretty good on both races, and though he's not in the lead, but he got close to the lead. That's astonishing, especially if you see that he joined mid-season into the RF2 Racingleague and is now on the second place, just behind David Haas, who is actually leading. And yeah, was pretty cool.
Yeah, Christian Michel joined after the first 2 races were over already. That's different to David Haas, who was active the entire season. So he is the most consistent driver, one of the most consistent drivers throughout the season, so there's no wonder that he's in the lead, still in the championship. Never had a DNF throughout the entire season, and always got some points, because you don't get points for every position, only the first 10 positions, and you get a bonus point each for the pole position and for the quickest race lap. So maybe this will be the interesting point for tonight. So if you get pole position, there's another point for you, and with the fastest racing time, maybe we'll see another jump there from Christian Michel, and he's only 9 points behind David Haas, and the leader gets, or the winner gets 25 points in each race, and the second position is 18 points, so there's a 7-point difference. So if Christian Michel just manages to get into the first position in the first race and maybe takes both bonus points, he's more or less already winner of the entire season, or he would be in the same points as David Haas, and then it's just about the final position in the last race. So we are, of course, looking forward to this kind of final battle. There's also still Juan Francisco Ranogera, and he has 123 points, so he's only 18 points behind David Haas. So if Haas gets into trouble, or Christian Michel also, there's still a chance for the Spanish driver to take the title, as well as Björn Wahlmeier. So if everyone in front of him gets unlucky, even Wahlmeier with 96 points has a chance to take the title in this season.
It's a theoretical chance in getting as many points, because he has to score like both races win, and the others are not allowed to do points. But in fact, there is a chance. We do not know what cars will do on the track tonight, so it will be pretty interesting and exciting to see what the drivers can come up with.
Yeah, especially on the track tonight, because Sao Paulo, maybe some of the viewers maybe know this track better as Interlagos, in the real entire name is Autodromo José Carlos Paz, but I think most of the viewers know it as Interlagos, and maybe because it's often used in the Formula One Championship in reality as well. So a well-known track, and a very, very complicated track actually, because you have those mid-speed corners and a few hairpins with always a bit of banking in the corners, so it's not really flat, and we are on the fastest part of the track, the start-finish straight, which is even a bit bumpy coming into the first corner, and it's a pretty fast corner, and sometimes or often you get some crashes there, even though there's quite some room, but everyone tries to get the ideal racing line, and when three drivers are next to each other, this doesn't work out. So maybe we can take a look on the track from the view of the driver, Björn Wahlmeier. We're already in turn number 4. Coming down to turn number 5 up to Ferradura. So the quick right-hander, and then you need to slow down even more, because there's turn 7. The corner's getting sharper into the first hairpin, turn 8. And then it's a switch in the banking from more to the left, it's down to the right when you're looking for the banking, and when you get the corner on the inside on the curb, you get really into trouble. So it works here because it's a slow corner, but especially here through Mercurio, turn 12. That's really tough. If you hit the curbs too much, the car starts to turn into the corner, start to spin. And it's the same out of this corner. You need as much momentum as possible, but if you're a bit too quick, you get over the curb into the grass, and then usually the rear kicks out and you get into a spin as well. And this is the fast part up the hill, up to the start-finish straight again. Björn Wahlmeier currently staying only in 11th position, so he needs to pick up some speed. Otherwise, there won't be even a chance to get further up from 4th position in the championship at the moment.
And today it's now we're 14 drivers. Like 10 minutes ago it was like 12 drivers, but I think there will be more to come. We spoke a little bit in front before the stream that some drivers are missing out the qualifying on purpose or not. It's a bit odd every time, but I hope it will be getting a little more drivers come, so we can have more interesting races here.
Yeah, maybe some more fighting, not only for positions between the drivers, but also looking on the team championship, because MC Racing, consisting of Christian Michel and his teammate Simon Christmann, who also joined later into the season with Michel together, and they are currently in the lead in the team championship, 187 points, but only 24 points ahead of Awesome Racing, and that's what we're still looking at. That's Christo Niewood, and Rob Timpen. Sadly, Rob Timpen didn't continue the season, the series, and left it mid-season. So I am afraid there will be no more chance to take that title. Only if both drivers from MC Racing get really into trouble and the guys or Christian Niewood takes a really good position throughout this race tonight. So maybe we need more to look at Storm Racing, because these are the two McLaren drivers, and especially Juan Juano Guerra. He well, lost his chance maybe to take a lot of points when he had this DNF without the fuel in the first race in Spa-Francorchamps. So this actually cost him very important points looking at the championship, not only the team championship but the drivers championship as well. While we got some flickering of the car, I'm not sure what's the problem at the moment. Oh, yeah, that was strange. And it was strange because yeah, the training is over now. We are 2 minutes behind, so we're now in the qualifying run. So times were a bit mixed up. And now we are looking for the real times. They are now important for the drivers, and most of them, they don't want to miss any second of this qualifying run.
And
Mr. Michel already out on the track. Oh.
So I fixed the replay problem.
Ah, thank you. I was wondering what you were doing. Well, I guess the replay, we need to do this again in the race session as well, but maybe there will be some incidents here in the qualifying as well, I hope. So that there won't be any problems for the drivers, but look at how close these guys are on the track at the moment. Everyone starts to leave a little small gap to the other driver in front, so you don't get into trouble on your fast timed lap on the track. And of course this is the one driver we have to look at for the championship. When he scores 2 tie in both races ahead of David Haas, he takes the title in the driver championship. If he ends up behind David, it depends on which position it will be, because there are some bigger gaps between the first few positions. So it's 7 points between position 1 and 2, it's 3 between 2 and 3, and then 3 between 2 and 4, and then it's down to a 2-point difference, or at least between position 9 and 10, then it's 1 point difference. So maybe we will see a surprise, but let's see what the qualifying times will be.
I'm seeing it. I love how detailed these tracks are, with all the left off rubber on the curbs, and how beautifully they are designed. And sometimes if you have these advertisements that are censored, they are pure comedy. I love it to see some of these signs on the track where they cannot say some brand name and then spell it wrong, so you can actually tell it was this advertisement, but you cannot do it if you do an official track.
Yeah, some are just changing into maybe their brand, so as you can see some of the RF2 logos, but in other situations they may be just joking around. I remember commentating a stream on Watkins Glen track, and someone also changed one of the huge banners on the opposite side from when you're driving, so you could only see it in your mirrors or maybe on the camera in the stream, and they just painted almost naked anime girl on this one, and it soon was very interesting in the live stream because everyone was just waiting to see that camera position again. And especially this camera position, if the car was quick enough, you only could see it for maybe 1 or 1.5 seconds, and then the camera switched over. So that was real fun situation. I don't think we will see any naked enemy girls here on Interlagos, but
I hope so.
I hope so too, because it's still before 10 p.m. So hopefully
And
we won't
we
see
cannot
this.
show it anyways on YouTube, so
I don't know if YouTube would even react to if you would see it just for a second. I'm not sure if they would realize it, especially when it's a sim racing stream. But no, and I'm not talking about naked. It was half naked, so
yeah.
not that much of a problem, I guess. But that's the fun part, I think, of sim racing, that you can still modify things more into a fun way, less than in that entirely serious stuff. But not for tonight. So, quickest lap time currently for Christian Michel, and that was a bit to be expected, but Juan Gerhart, he of course is looking for taking maybe the second position in the Drivers' Championship, because he is he is 18 points behind David Haas, and he's 9 points behind Christian Michel. So I guess the chance to take David Haas maybe is closer than the one to fight Christian Michel. And David Haas currently only in 6th position. And remember, starting position will be locked for both races. So there's no reverse grid between race 1 and 2. So that would mean that David Haas has to start from 6th position in both races, and 6th position is right in the middle of the field. And if you know racing, you know that the middle of the field is always the one where a crash can happen very easily.
Yeah, I think you're like a bit braked out if you are in the middle of the field, because you cannot do the fastest racing you can, because you have to look for the others that are in front and behind you. They want to get your place, and you cannot drive as you were in the first place, having no one in front of you. You can just like set the speeds and be free in how you're doing. And I think in racing this is one problem or one opportunity if you are in the pole position or not in the pole position. And I think this often leads to that the pole position wins the race, as of my knowledge.
Yeah, it depends on how long the race goes. And so in a 30-minute sprint race, there's the qualifying position is quite important, and that would be a point for David Haas to focus on a better lap time. He set a better lap time. He's now in 5th position in the qualifying, just got ahead of Kostas Kantouris, who's pretty good. Again, he finished in 7th and 6th in Spa-Francorchamps, and still looking for some points for Storm Racing, because of course they are looking for taking the 2nd position in the team championship, since Christian Niewood is the remaining driver of Awesome Racing, without Rob Timpin in getting points anymore. So there, I think, is a chance for Storm Racing if they both get enough points to get ahead of Awesome Racing and get 2nd position in the team championship. David Haas on his outlap currently, and Kostas Kantouris drove back. He is now again in 5th position with this McLaren, and they're trying to get closer below the 130 mark, which is currently only broken by Christian Michel and Juan Gerhart. And it's Björn Wahlmeier, who's also pretty quick on the track at the moment. Björn Wahlmeier was quick throughout the season, but 3rd position in the qualifying. That's some really good driving there. Ended up with a double 5th position in Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, and I think here we see really good that David Haas is a bit of he can do pretty good on some tracks, and just drive out the others, and then we have tracks that are not as good for him as of any racer. I think that they have tracks they know really well and can do good, and then your daily basis, how you do today. And I think for David Haas it's most inconsistent I've seen in this, because the others are playing like in the same field every time, and he has the biggest range of positions he scored. And I think it will be pretty exciting to see how he can challenge it or focus his powers today.
Yeah, he's maybe the only one who scored every race, but as you said, he had the problem that there were some issues from time to time throughout the season, and that cost him important points, and now he dropped down to 7th position because Christian Michel's teammate Simon Christmann now up into 5th. And of course that's important for Michel, because even the more further down David Haas has to start into both races, the better the chances to take that title from David Haas.
Here he can improve his lap time to get back to the 5th place and placing right behind Christo Niewood. And I think a place between 5th and 3rd should be a good starting point for him in at least defending his point advantage as good as he can.
Yeah, but look at that time difference. So Christo Niewood, it's a 1:32.53. It's a 1:32.53 for David Haas, and then it's a 1:32.59 for Simon Christmann. So Niewood and Haas in exactly the same time, down to the 1,000th of the second, and then Simon Christmann only 6,000th of a second behind. Well, if they get that performance right throughout the race, I guess we will see some close racing, at least around position 4, 5 and 6, and Kostas Kansouras only about 1/10 of a second behind, while Stefan Deneke takes 8th position from Linus Lund right now, and even there it's only 600ths of a second difference. So I guess all of the drivers are pretty confident on this track. Interlagos, well known in the sim racing community.
Especially the first corner, I think, will be pretty hard for them. A bit complicated, as I heard in the from one of the team members that are doing their training today. They said that the first corner is going to be a hell of a thing to do for today, and I'm excited to see if it is that hell that they are describing.
Yeah, it could be crucial for a fight throughout the race, and of course for the lap times. It's very important to get that corner right. And it's tough to drive next to each other there if you're in a fight for a position, because it switches to that right-hander called, of course the corner is called Senna S, and you're braking down into that first corner from very high speed. So often you take the slipstream when you're driving up the hill out to the start-finish straight, and then under the slipstream you try to make a move under braking, and if the other driver isn't aware of you, then it often ends up in a crash. I hope we won't see that too often, because that could sometimes even end up in a totally destroyed car.
Yeah,
I've seen drivers I've seen drivers that completely missed the braking spot in a corner like this when they were next to each other, and then when you're hitting someone with about 150 kilometers an hour, this could end up very bad. Of course, in sim racing you don't have any injuries, but still your virtual car could end up in a pile of or in a wreckage. So we are in the last few minutes of this qualifying run. Juan van Juan Guerra still in second. couldn't close the gap to Christian Michel. Then it's Björn Wahlmeier, Christian Niebuhr and David Haas, still with the same lap time. So I guess Haas has been about a 10,000 of a second slower, because the timing usually counts even further in detail in the simulation. Or sometimes it calculates after the driver who set the quick lap time first, and that was of course Christian Niebuhr. And let's see if anyone can still have an improvement. No, most of the drivers in the pits already, so there's only Michel still driving, and then it's Juan Fuano. There's a slow driving Corvette.
There's Björn Wahlmeier is also out, David Haas, Simon Christman, Kostas Kansouras, Stefan Denecke, Christian Matten. So
oh, Christian Matten, I have to say I haven't seen him in sim racing for quite a while, and he wasn't taking part in the season so far, so it's his first race in the GT3 Winter Challenge, though, and of course because it's the final round, it's the last one. But I wonder where he will end up with his Corvette. Currently it would be starting from 10th position, about 1.5 tenths of a second behind Stefan Denecke. And it's the final try for most of the drivers in this qualifying. David Haas still going, Christian Matten as well. Juan Juano in the pits. Oh, there might be still a chance for Björn Wahlmeier or David Haas. He has improvement in the first sector.
of course he wants to be faster than Christian Niebuhr. It's pretty it's a bit annoying to see that you have the same time but you're not in front of him, and I think he now wants to just get everything he has for his qualifying together and score better, but I think no,
he missed it. Yes,
missed it
about 6/10 of a second, 600th of a second. And now it's only Björn Wahlmeier, and he has an improvement in both sectors, so maybe there's a chance. I'm not sure if this will be enough to catch Juan Juano, because we're talking about 4.5 tenths of a second. And he misses it, a 1:29.852, but still more than a tenth of a second behind Juan Juano, but pretty impressive.
Yeah, pretty close to Juan Juano Guerra.
And that means this is the end of the qualifying run. Everyone else is through or in the pits already. And that means Christian Michel will start from the lead next to Juan Juano. Björn Wahlmeier from 3rd, Christian Niebuhr 4th position, David Haas from 5th. Then it's Simon Christmann from 6th position, Kostas Kansouras 7th, Linus Lundvall from 8th, Stefan Denecke in 9th position, Christian Matten from 10th, then followed by Oskar Köhnen, where there's a pretty interesting gap, because Oskar Köhnen was about 0.8 of a second slower than Christian Matten, so a huge gap between position 10 and 11. Dirk Carnert, nice to see him back on the track. He was registered for the GT3 Winter Challenge quite some time, but he didn't take part that often. Now starting from 12th position, followed by Christoph Müller. And I'm a bit surprised that Christoph Müller is so far behind the performance of the other drivers, because I remember him fighting for the top 10 at least, sometimes even for top 5. Jürgen Wahlmeier starting from 19th position and Marcelo Tocco from 15th. And sadly, no other driver joined the server afterwards. So sometimes we had the situation that some drivers had to wait for switching the session from qualifying to warm-up to come onto the server as well. Maybe
yes,
we'll see some other drivers.
I'm a bit I'm a bit confused that Thomas Andrea Mihariso is not here, because we have so much fun saying his name.
Maybe we had a bit too much fun, I'm not sure. But that's actually a bit sad, because he is not bad looking at the championship. Currently with 65 points, and he would still have a chance at least to take Christian Niemuth, maybe even catch Rob Timpin, who has his 90 points after getting out of the GT3 Winter Challenge. And
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah, and that of course means he won't get any points for Seawolf Racing, and they're currently in 5th position in the team championship. I don't think they would have been able to catch Troller Bull, but never say never. He still has about 3.5 minutes to also join the server, but I'm afraid we won't see him here tonight. Everyone getting in the starting position just to try how to start into this race. I mean, almost everyone.
Train the head start on the beginning of the race. And get ready for your nervous feet pushed down in the earth.
Yeah. That's really not that easy as it looks like. With a GT3 car, it usually is not that tough, but I remember having a test race with a Group C car. And when you're driving a Group C car without traction control, and of course a Group C car from the end of the 80s doesn't have any traction control, and then you're trying to put 700 horsepower with a turbo charged engine onto the track, that's really tough. So I realized that when I shift up into second gear at 100 kilometers an hour, the car suddenly moves to the right or to the left and kicks into other cars. That, I guess, won't happen here tonight with the GT3 cars, but of course if you're starting slowly, you get into a problem with the other drivers behind you. So if you're unlucky, someone hits you in the back, and hopefully we won't see that tonight.
And as I learned is that the drivers are mostly braking with their left foot, what I didn't know like a week ago, because you do not have the reaction time with your right feet as you do in normal car driving. Because in normal car driving, every car driving teacher will teach you to not brake with your left foot. But in racing, I think it's the common sense, isn't it?
Yeah, I realized that you're not much into sim racing so far, because it's the first technique you learn when you get into sim racing. Because most of the modern, or all of the modern racing cars, of course, they have a fully sequential gearbox, so you don't need any clutch to switch the gears, of course. So, and without a clutch, of course, it's easy to brake with the left foot. And one of the first tricks you learn is if the car starts to spin and you realize you can't catch it with counter steering, you just push brakes and the throttle both full, so the car corrects itself out of the spin. Of course, you lose a lot of time, but you don't spin out with the car. So left foot braking is just normal in sim racing. It changes when you're starting to use a clutch with older cars, and then of course you need to switch gears, usually with an H-shaped shifter, and then you might try to use the heel and toe technique. So that means you're braking with your right foot and use the heel of your foot to just push some of the gas when you're downshifting. But otherwise it's always left foot braking. But in your normal car, of course, if you have a manual gearbox, that doesn't work.
It was for automatic gearbox that my car driving teacher just like hit me on the fingers when I did it. And yeah, I wanted to know if that's a thing also for non-sim racing. I think it will be, as sim racing is simulation.
If you're watching videos about real race drivers, they actually use it when it's needed. So most of the, if you're looking for rally drivers, they sometimes use left foot braking, even with the older cars. So if you're looking at maybe some driving of Walter Röhrl, he's also using the left foot for braking and for using the clutch whenever the situation comes up. So if you stay in the same gear and you know that corner you're taking, you know you don't have to downshift or upshift, you can use your left foot for braking. And if you know you have to shift, you use your right foot for braking. So it helps. But the problem is, I did some kart driving some time ago, and the guy who told me how to drive, he said, please don't use the left foot for braking, because if you stay on the throttle and use the left foot for braking, you easily destroy the brakes, which makes sense. But because if you're still on the throttle and the brakes are used, they heat up very, very quick, and then you destroy the brakes. But it also works, you can really do it, at least in a kart, because you don't have to shift, and that's the main reason. But in sim racing, as long as you don't need a clutch, you always use the left foot for braking.
Yeah, I had this situation with the kart as well. And one of my colleagues who was coming with me just destroyed the kart. he just sent the brakes flying, and the motor was completely... I don't know how he got there, but he broke the motor and the brakes. So he had to pay quite some amount of money to get this fixed.
Yeah, that makes sense, of course. Well, I think you can use it, and I tried it actually. It works interesting when you are going into a very quick corner with a kart. And the first thing you have to learn when you're driving with a kart, you almost never use the brakes. You just go off the throttle and just turn in, and just because of the steering, the kart slows down very easily, and then this works pretty well. But I used it in the fast corners when I knew I just stood on the throttle and just tapped the brake just for a slight moment, so the shift gets the weight of the car gets into the front, and then the rear starts to step out a bit more, and then you can take the corner pretty quick. And that's also something you can try to use. And now we see the problem when you're starting, when there's some slight height
uphill
on the track, when it's uphill, and that caused, especially in this case, Costas Kansouras a lot of problems, and as well as Juan Franjuano dropped down to 7th position because his car was rolling in the opposite way. Luckily, everyone else got across him, and David Haas takes 2nd. So perfect start for David Haas. Behind him, that's Björn Wahlmeier, chased now by Linus Lundvall. So also a very impressive start by the RF2 Racing driver in the AMG. And then it's Costas Kansouras, who even got ahead of his teammate, then Christian Niewood, and then Juan Franjuano, who has now a lot of work in front of him. 29 minutes to go, and he has to get back up into at least the top 3 to keep that that 3rd position in the championship, and maybe hold up his chances to get a better position. But that was kind of a weird start in that situation.
Yeah, and we had like an off-track situation from Christoph Müller, who lost a few places there. Maybe we could switch back to that. Oh, he crashed into someone, and
but I think he even got some off-road action there by the Bentley driver, but he actually got 2 positions anyway, so he started from 13th and now is up to 11th, so some of the other drivers had problems as well. So not that bad of a start, and most of the drivers are coming into the pits, and it looks like early start, so jump start, and they got the penalty obviously, so that looks like it's Christian Niewood, Juan Franjuano and Oscar Koenen, and for Juan Franjuano that's a huge problem considering the championship, because now he won't score any points in this first race, and that's a chance for Björn Wahlmeier, who's currently in 3rd, to even catch Juan Franjuano. would could get him 15 points, so jump up to 111, so he would only be 12 points behind Juan Franjuano. There is a slight chance for Björn Wallmeier to maybe get third position in the championship.
And
But
we have a
Christian
lot
Michel.
going on here.
Oh.
We have Jürgen Wallmeier. It was his second hit, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
that was...
he had a hit in... Oh,
Hey, look.
he was off track right here.
Yeah, and look, he lost his rear wing, I think. Oh, did he? Yes, look at that. Yeah.
Then he had the situation that we switched to.
Yeah, and looks like that Corvette is nearly uncontrollable with the missing rear wing, so that means he will have to drive very slow. And I think he warped his car, actually, or brought his car into the pits by now.
No, not right now. But he will try to get into the pit, I think.
Bad luck there for Jürgen Wallmeier because he turned around, and I wonder why he didn't hit the brakes, because the car was rolling backwards, and I guess he tried to get away from the racing line, but in the situation he crashed into the wall with the rear of the car. So now there's the two drivers of the I think that's the
Cold Fox backup squad?
Yeah,
Fox.
it's the Cold Fox backup squad. They changed the livery for Spa-Francorchamps. You remember maybe the yellow and black cars? Now
Yes.
it's even a more distinctive paint job on this car. And Christian Matten made his way up to 11th position and chasing the two Bentley drivers.
Yeah, I like how they switch the colors, the main color, with each other, because you can see they are in the same team. They have the same basic livery, but the colors are the opposite of the others. And then the little design tips that are brought then. And I like this livery from this team because you can see that they are a team, but they have completely different liveries.
Yeah, because of the colors, you know who's the one driving the car at the moment. It's often a bit problematic if you have a livery and it's you can only keep the two drivers away from each other because of maybe the one of the rear mirrors are green and the others are red, and and that's it. So that's really tough. Simon Christmann.
And now Jürgen Wallmeier is in the pit.
That was to be expected. And trying to repair his Corvette. Simon Christmann looks like he's a bit quicker than Costas Kansouras at the moment, but still looking for a gap to overtake the McLaren driver.
Pretty aggressive in attacking Costas Kansouras here.
And Kansouras is looking for a gap to make a move against Linus Lundvall as well. So I think Lundvall is holding both of the drivers up at the moment.
David Haas is now second behind Christian Michel. And that's the race I thought of. The two fighting for the title, fighting in front. And I'm pretty excited if he can get up to Christian Michel, which is very, very hard because he has 4 seconds of delay. And I think it can be pretty hard. It will be pretty hard for David Haas to catch up on this.
Yeah, I'm almost afraid he won't have a chance because it's already now nearly 5 seconds and we are only 7 minutes into this race. And that shows how quick Christian Michel actually is. I think he became, I don't know if it's the second or even third time he became driver of the day. And I think he earned it, because if you're setting double victories almost every round, you just earn to be recognized as one or maybe the best driver in the GT3 Winter Challenge.
Yes, he's
overall.
pretty strong. overall very consistent. And Jürgen Baumer is out of pit again and is driving.
One lap behind now at the moment, while Christian Matten trying to make a move against one of the Bentley drivers. Marcelo Tocco is getting away a bit from his teammate Christoph Müller. Oh, that means Müller now under pressure from Matten. And ahead Dirk Carnot, who's doing a pretty good job staying in 8th position at the moment, started from 12th. A good result, or there might be a good result for the driver who's now back in the GT3 Winter Challenge. Right, there was nearly contact between Kostas Kansouras and Linus Lundvall and Simon Christmann. So I wonder how long Lundvall is capable to stay ahead in 4th position, because it's obvious that both drivers behind him are quicker at the moment. But that's a part of Interlagos. You not really have much of a choice to actually pass a driver without making a mistake.
Christoph Müller off track.
Still ahead of Matten. Oh!
There he is, turning out.
Whoa. And unlucky for Christian Matten that he hit the Bentley while he was spinning out. I think Matten was also late on the brakes because he was running very wide when he hit him in the side of the Bentley. Luckily not much damage to both of the cars. And Kostas Kansouras in a very, very unfortunate situation when you are between two drivers and the driver ahead of you is a bit slower, but you can't pass him, and the driver behind you is a bit quicker. And you somehow try to keep him at bay. So now there's the move against Lundvall into the first corner. Lundvall not leaving much room between him and the McLaren driver. But now there is the try from Kansouras, but that's what in this case Christmann was waiting for. You know, maybe he takes 2 positions within just a few corners. He's in the better racing line on the inside by Lundvall defending again, and now they are both off the track. No, it's only Christmann, and Christmann loses a position against Dänecke. I think that's maybe a bit too hard defending by Lundvall at the moment. Kansouras moving to the inside, and his teammate Juan Franjuano, he is fighting for getting at least a few points, because currently he is out of the points. Needs to maybe even get at least into the top 10. But Christian Niebuhr, he's more than 2 seconds behind Christian Matten. So to even catch Matten won't be enough. He has to make a pass. Now it's Kansouras on the outside against Lundvall. But Lundvall is really good in defending his position.
Bit of contact there.
And now it's Kansouras in the slipstream of the AMG, and now I'm wondering if Lundvall will defend as hard as he did against Christmann the lap before. But Kansouras, maybe he saw that contact between the two drivers, and now he's a bit more careful when fighting against Lundvall in that AMG, and that all that fighting brings Stefan Dänecke into play, who's in 5th and 6th. But going wide, and maybe now Christmann can take that position back from the McLaren driver. No, but now it's 4 drivers fighting for 4th position. And hopefully this will end up good.
And the back we had a situation, but it's pretty exciting now, so I think we can come to that later.
Yeah, maybe some more off track from one of the drivers.
That was Christoph Müller and Dirk Carnot.
Yeah, Dirk Carnot was in 8th position, so I guess he must have had some bigger troubles. There's Schürmann with the move against Dänicke.
And we have a DNF of Dirk Carnot.
Also bigger problems, but we hopefully will stay here with our cameras. Kostas Kantsuras again with a try against Linus Lundvall, but Schürmann takes 6th position from Dänicke, and I think Dänicke is in trouble. He drops down to 9th to 10th position. So what happened to the McLaren driver? Let's see here, braking into the first corner, and he was braking late and getting into on the curb and then just hitting the side of the car, Simon Schürmann, and then of course being very careful, rejoining the race, and now he's out of the point.
We have Simon Schürmann had an off track as well.
Oh, because there was a contact between Lundvall and Kantsuras, so we maybe need to take a look at that. And then Schürmann just hit the back, I think, of the car. There was Kantsuras just steering in, and then there is just a slow AMG from Lundvall, and that caused Schürmann to brake in the corner, and that easily caused the rear to step out of that car, and the Corvette spins out as well.
And now we have Marcello Tocco on the 5th place because of this mess up on the places 6 to 8, I think it was. Let's
look at Juan Francoano. He is now up in 9th position, so now he's in the points and he's close to Schürmann now. So there's still a chance. Now Kantsuras with the move against Tocco. That's not much of a surprise. The McLaren driver takes back 5th position. But yeah, I don't know. I think in this case it was his mistake after that contact with Linus Lundvall, because he was just steering into the corner while there was an AMG next to him. But they were driving with a lot of contacts in that fight, and sadly it ended up in several spins. Still Lundvall in 4th position, so he got out of it with quite some luck. Dänicke in 9th, and then it's Niewood and Juan Francoano now up to 7th position, so that ended up pretty quick. Schürmann with another problem, that's because he dropped down to 11th position. So the MC Racing driver is out of the points at the moment.
I will look for Dirk Carnot. He was DNF. Oh. Hit the wall. And
looks like a hardware issue to me. There must have happened
then
something.
He did not finish.
Yes, Martin is also out of the race. I wonder why that happened.
Come to that, here it is.
So that was Martin behind Tocco. And he's also slowing down. So maybe he destroyed his engine. That could be the case. If you remember one of the earlier races, I think Christian Michel had that situation in his one of the first races when he joined this series, where he also
I recall that.
Where he destroyed his engine. Well, I guess that might be the problem for Christian Martin. But I wonder what happened to Simon Schürmann, why he dropped down to 11th and now has more than 3 seconds of a gap to Christoph Müller. That was the pass between him and Kantsuras. I think that was Juan Francoano, always contact and then more and more contact. And actually nowhere to go for Juan Francoano in that case. And Schürmann tried to keep as less room as possible between him and Juan Francoano. So that's why Schürmann dropped down to 11th. Dänicke up to 9th, Niewood in 8th. And now I'm curious if Juan Francoano has a chance to catch Marcello Tocco. A little more than about 2 seconds behind the Bentley driver.
And I think he's driving pretty fast, and he will get Marcello Tocco, I think, because of his fast laps, and we saw how he easily overtook Marcello Tocco.
Oh, there's his teammate in trouble. First corner, Costas Kansouras was just kind of parking there in the opposite direction, and I think there was kind of an unforced error. Yeah.
Oh.
Just lost the car under braking. Now he is down to 9th position and under pressure by Christoph Müller.
There's a lot going on the track right now. It's hard to keep track of what is happening.
And what's interesting is that Björn Wahlmeier can keep up with David Haas actually, so he's closing the gap at the moment. Getting him below a distance of 1 second, and if he gets close enough he can get some slipstream on the start-finish straight, and as well on that straight after turn number 3. So we have to take a look at that. Yeah, in looking at the current situation on the track, I think Christian Miche, David Haas and Björn Wahlmeier in position 1, 2 and 3, that's a bit expected, but all of the other positions, quite unexpected outcomes so far.
Yeah, I think they are, because of the little mistakes that were made in summing up, we have a lot of mix in the driver's field, because of these unexpected failures that happened, and I hope that it will be a bit more consistent in the next race, because for the drivers it is not very easy to hold up with this many failures. And you see Linus Lundvall is 16 seconds behind Björn Wahlmeier, and he's like the cut where all the others are fighting and falling back because of the slight mistakes that are breaking or that are slowing down the whole field after Björn Wahlmeier.
Yeah, Wahlmeier, I think he is looking for maybe getting enough points to catch Juan Francoano, but Juan Francoano, of course, he is now back in 6th position already, so that chances are getting lower and lower currently because of the performance of the McLaren driver. And Simon Christmann still trying to get at least a 1 point for MC Racing after his troublesome race by now, behind Christoph Müller. And if we remember Christoph Müller throughout the last races, he's also someone who knows how to defend his position. Müller on the inside with the Bentley. Braking not too early, but maybe a bit too late. Now closing the inside line through turn 3. And that causes Müller to stay ahead of Christmann. Christmann now on the outside. But now he's in a better situation on the inside into the next 2 corners. But hitting the grass on the inside a little bit, nearly spinning out with that Corvette into the hairpin. Turn 8, there's some contact, and lucky situation for Christoph Müller that he could catch his Bentley before it was sliding off the track entirely. But Christmann is now up to 10th position. But it's interesting to see how hard you need to fight even at the end of the top 10 to get at least 1 position back.
We have Marcello Tocco catching up to Linus Lundvall, trying to get to the 4th position. And he had closed the gap of like 2 seconds up to Linus Lundvall, and now he's right behind him.
Yeah, already flashing his headlights, and he's obviously currently a lot quicker than the AMG driver. The Cold Fox backup squad, they're not really looking for the championship, considering the team championship. They're currently in 7th position, and I'm afraid they won't get much better because the gap is too huge. We're talking about 31 points even to Wahlmeier GT, who's in 6th position, but still trying to get a good result in the last round of the championship.
Yeah, I think they're just doing their best, not looking at the points, just driving the races and getting experienced in driving such races. As for Christoph Müller, who's a beginner in sim racing, I think, and yeah, I think this is pretty good experience you can get in such races, even if it's not the greatest or the biggest series that is out there.
That's actually the best way, because this it's not so packed, so you don't have so many drivers, and you can focus on fighting with maybe max 2 or 3 drivers, than rather fighting in a 30 drivers pack. And still, rfactor 2 with these cars, it's still quite difficult, so you definitely didn't choose the easiest simulation out there on the market, but yeah, it's a good start if you need the full package. Christoph Müller, maybe he still has a chance to get back into 10th against Simon Christmann, but Christmann currently quicker than Müller considering the top 10. And only 6 minutes to go. And David Haas is getting a bit away from Björn Wahlmeier again. And as you can see, something I expected after seeing the pace of Juan Franjuano throughout the qualifying and during the race right now, he is closing in, the Storm Racing driver in the black and blue McLaren. He is right behind Marcelo Tocco and Linus Lundvall. Closed that gap very, very quickly. So now I wonder how Juan Franjuano could manage to take these positions, or if he has to stay behind in 6th place. Taking a look from Franjuano's McLaren. Now Marcelo Tocco late under braking against Lundvall. Lundvall making the crisscross, getting back that position. Nice move by the AMG driver. He was expecting that late braking by Marcelo Tocco and recovered easily. Just like saying, no, I won't let you get through that easy. It's a difficult situation for Juan Franjuano, because where should he go trying to attack both drivers? Maybe waiting for Marcelo Tocco to make that move and then just follow Tocco next to Lundvall. But Lundvall made a good way through that final corner up to the run up to the hill, because he got a lot of momentum. It's interesting to see how bad Marcelo Tocco was going through those last 2 corners before you're driving uphill. The crucial situation on that track now. Juan Franjuano, he's leaving enough space to the inside line still. Tocco was driving careful, even got a bit in the grass, and now Juan Franjuano at least in 6th position. And he would try to chase Lundvall in this final 3 minutes in the first race here in Interlagos.
Here's Costas Kansouras chasing up to Stefan Deneke, who's trying to hold his 8th place against him. And in the back we see Simon Christman, who has separated from Christoph Müller and has now 4 seconds on him.
And Kansura still looking for getting some more points for Storm Racing. I'm pretty sure they will make it up to second position in the team championship, because the position of Juan Franjuano, it's not that bad, and he is really close to Linus Lundvall now. I think we will see a change just at the moment. Juan Franjuano. Oh, and there was a crash between the two of them, and that's horrible for Juan Franjuano and of course Linus Lundvall as well. What happened there? Oh, and that's the same problem we saw with Kostas Kansouras and Lundvall further earlier in the race, steering into the corner too early. And now Lundvall dropped down to 11th position. He was in 4th for so long. And then maybe Juan Franjuano was a bit too eager to get a position, while Stefan Denike is also in trouble in turn number 3. Christmann is getting closer, and maybe that will get Christmann up into 8th position. Just making that move through turn 6 and 7. And Denike, maybe his tires are still a bit too hot after that spin. Christmann up into 8th. Juan Franjuano back in 6th, more than a second behind Christian Niewood. And I think that championship decision will be down David Haas and Christian Michel after this race.
But Stefan Denike wants to have his place back after he had to slow down a bit for his tires to cool down after this spin out, and now he's trying to get his place against Simon Christman back. And
yeah, but it's only 20 seconds to go, so this will be the final lap. I'm not so sure if Denike can catch Christmann in this last lap in the first race, whilst Juan Franjuano closed the gap to Christian Niewood quite quickly. Talking about 5th position there, and very important points.
Oh,
and there's a 3 wide into the corner, and a huge accident for Marcelo Tocco, and he got lucky that this engine is still working. So how on earth did that happen? There's Tocco with the drift, and Niewood just made a way pass, and then they didn't expect the Bentley on the inside. But Tocco is still going. No, that car is broken. So the final lap with an accident between Niewood and Juan Franjuano, and I don't see actually that much of a mistake, but Juan Franjuano, they just didn't expect it, that the slow car of Tocco was still there, whilst Michel is already through, as well as David Haas, Björn Wahlmeier, and then Niewood ahead of Juan Franjuano. Kostas Kansouras in 6th position, and they are still going. Maybe Juan Franjuano, can he take Niewood? I don't think so. They're still on their way to the start-finish line.
They're over.
Yeah, he's too far behind. And the teammate of Juan Franjuano finished in 6th in the end. A quite good result for Storm Racing overall. Simon Christmann 7th, Stefan Denike 8th. And there is the try for Oskar Köhnen to get back into 10th position. But at least 1 point for Linus Lundvall. But it would be so much more if not for that accident between him and Juan Franjuano. I think will be quite some discussion between the drivers after even only this first race, and there's more to come in the next minutes, because of course we will see a second 30-minute race, and that was one action-packed race.
Yeah, it was full of slight mistakes and good driving of the first 3 drivers, and I think it was a pretty exciting race. And saw a lot of action going on, and let's be real. We want to see action.
Of course, you always want to see racing action, but maybe with fewer contacts between the drivers.
Yeah.
And I'm just starting to look for the points at the moment. So who finished where? So it's so maybe get a look for the current situation for the drivers.
And as we said, we have Christian Michel in the first place, David Haas in second, and Björn Wahlmeier in the third. After that, Christian Niewood on fourth, Juan Franruano on the fifth, Kostas Kansouras, Simon Christman, Stefan Denecke, Christoph Müller, Linus Lundvall, Oskar Köhnen, Marcello Tocco, Jürgen Wahlmeier, Christian Matten, and Dirk Carnot. Whereas the last four did not finish, unluckily. But I think it's worth mentioning that Christoph Müller was on the 11th and got back to the 9th place, scoring points for his team. And now we're back to warm up for the second race.
Yeah, looking forward for some more action tonight. So currently now David Haas is... I will just check where he is in the points right now. So David Haas still 2 points ahead, but I think the pole position and the quickest racing lap was for Christian Michel at the moment, and that would cause that both are currently at 159 points. So now David has to finish ahead of Christian Michel to take the title, and of course it's the other way around. Björn Wahlmeier now 22 points behind Juan Franruano, so I guess Juan Franruano, he will stay in third position in the championship, because Björn Wahlmeier needs to score a victory, and Juan Franruano is only allowed to take a ninth position at max. So I guess this one is settled, but the final race and Haas and Michel in the top of the championship with the same amount of points, so it couldn't get any closer.
Yeah, we have a gap of 2 points between the first two. It's really it's such a narrow span of points, and now it comes to every situation, and you have to drive very carefully but also very fast to secure your win. And I think we will see that from all the drivers that are there for the title, that they will drive cautious but not cautious but not that slow, because they have to be fast.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess Juan Franruano will be on the track and trying to figure out how to start without rolling backwards, because that was his huge problem at the race start.
How do you handle such a situation? Maybe you can explain a bit.
Well, it depends on what kind of car you're driving. I think in this situation I would just switch to not trying to get into gear, so without holding the clutch on the car, even though there's a fully sequential gearbox, you still have a clutch on these GT3 cars. But of course, if you are shifting into the first gear and you're not holding the clutch, the car will roll forward, and that will of course cause that you have a jump start. So the other way would be to keep the foot on the clutch and on the brakes as well. I don't think that's a good idea, so I would just stay in neutral and stay on the brakes. And then when the lights are green, just switch into the first gear, and then starting to get a good start to avoid rolling backwards. But it's tough. You have to try those different techniques, which works better. because it's depends on how extreme that slight uphill section is. Maybe we can see how he's doing it. And that's the onboard, and he's staying in first gear now on the brake, and let's see what he's doing. He's going into neutral and trying to shift up, but that's not, I guess, exactly working as it's supposed to, but looks like at least he found a way to do it without rolling backwards.
Is he killing the engine, or
what
is this rattling?
It looks a bit like he's stalling the engine actually. Weird situation for Juan Franjuano, but he's not the only one. And I hope all the other drivers behind him now know about that problem.
It was a problem, especially for the first drivers. I saw their cars rolling backwards and then doing the throttle. But backwards rolling is not under punishment, the few centimeters are.
No, I don't think so. Because it's not an advantage, it's the opposite. So I don't think they got a penalty for that one, even though some of the drivers were driving into the pits, but it wasn't, in this case, Juan Franjuano, if I remember right. So, but difficult task for that final race. I think Christian Michel managed to do it pretty good. And maybe that's one of the reasons why David Haas got into second position so easy, because he was at one of the parts of the track where there wasn't that uphill part anymore, because the uphill part I think starts at about the starting position of position 5 or somewhere around that, and David Haas just got a position a bit behind that. So biggest problem definitely for the drivers starting from second, third, fourth and fifth position.
Is it uncommon for racetracks to have an uphill start?
Yes, definitely. There's some racetracks where it's downhill, so if you remember the old starting positions from Spa-Francorchamps, there was downhill, which was even much a bigger problem, because you had to be very careful to not start rolling forward, because then you would get a jump start.
Yeah, of course.
So that's even more of a problem than starting uphill. But there are several racetracks where you can find that. I think Laguna Seca is slightly uphill in the first few rows of the starting grid, but it's quite a lot here on this track. And most races I was commentating on Interlagos, they were actually with a rolling start, so the uphill part wasn't a problem, but in a standing start actually have some problems, as we saw. And now it's interesting because there's Christo Niewood on the right. We see the black and blue car of Juan Franjuano, and there it is again, the Corvette of Christo Niewood rolling backwards, slide a bit. And all the other drivers don't have that problem, but even Christian Michel rolling backwards as well. But now they're starting a bit better, everyone, than they did in the first race. But David Haas again with a very good start, but he's held up by Christian Michel. And there's Lundvall late under braking, hitting the back of Christo Niewood. Christian Michel dropping down to second. Lundvall defending against Haas through the grass behind them. Juan Franjuano in fifth position. So currently it's Niewood with a very good start and taking the lead before the other drivers. Björn Wahlmeier in the grey Corvette trying to make a move against Juan Franjuano, but he's staying behind. Michel trying to increase the gap right away before David Haas. And what are the other drivers behind are doing? Lundvall defending
and we have
against
a did not
Wahlmeier.
finish of Christian Matten.
Well, no, Christoph Müller, is it?
Oh, Christoph Müller. Ah,
yeah, but he's going very slow. I think there's a bigger problem with the car with Christoph Müller, or maybe a hardware issue. He was going slow through the first corner. Maybe there was an accident. Yeah, he hit the wall. And obviously broke car. That situation for Christoph Müller, because he had a quite exciting and good race in the first run tonight, but now he's out early on. But let's take a look back on the action on the track that's going on at the moment, because now most of the drivers are more confident, of course, considering the track situation. Kostas Kantsuras defending against Stefan Denecke. Behind them, that's Marcelo Tocco in 11th already. And then Simon Christmann in 7th. Not surprisingly. Juan Juano in 3rd now. He passed
Simon
Haas and
Christmann
Lundvall.
was on the grass there, lost 1 position.
And the race is even the second race is still action-packed, but not that much of contact.
And now it's
at the
Christian Mutton to have a DNF.
What happened there? It looks like an engine failure. Yeah. So maybe again, because that happened in the first race at the same spot on the track.
Failure. I got the info right now.
And Christoph Müller just writing in the YouTube chat, so early season end, yes, sadly. There's Christian Michel trying to get into the lead against Christo Niewood. And I don't think Niewood will be defending too hard against Michel, considering the fact that Michel took pole and victory in the first race. Some slight contact between the Corvette drivers, but Christian Michel is through, and there is Juan Franjuano right behind Niewood now. Björn Wallmeier only in 6th position, but Wallmeier still has not enough points to even catch Juan Franjuano in the slightest way. As I said, he needs the victory, and Juan Franjuano has to finish behind the top 10, or maybe he finished in 10th position. Then there's a chance for Wallmeier, but now he's in 6th and he's fighting against Linus Lundvall. And if we remember the first race, Linus Lundvall is a tough opponent to fight against, and especially to get position. And it's the same again, Lundvall holding up the pack behind him.
Yeah, we saw this in the other races as well, that Lundvall is very hard to beat opponent in front of you, because he's very good in holding the pack behind him and not letting them through. And if so, then because he is like touched or anything, and doing a great job of holding a whole pack or a whole crowd behind him, just because he's a very good offensive driver. And we see it, Björn Wallmeier, Simon Christmann, Kostas Kantsuras all directly behind the other, trying to get around Linus Lundvall here and holding everyone back.
And Lundvall is really good under braking. You could see that in the first corner. He was on the outside, and usually you are in the better situation when you're on the inside. But he's braking much later than Wallmeier and closing the inside line just to put him in the best position for the second corner. So he really knows how to handle that AMG GT3 on the track to not lose that position. That's some really good skill. You can see a lot. So he's not the fastest, but he knows how to get into the corner and especially exit out of the corner without losing that momentum. And that's very, very important on that track. Just focus on how he's exiting the next two corners, because that's crucial for staying ahead of the Corvette of Björn Wallmeier. So you're coming down to this corner, not getting too wide to the outside, and then be as quick as possible through this corner, because you need the momentum up the hill. But this time maybe Wallmeier was a bit quicker, was he? I'm not sure. But he has the slipstream now. But now Lundvall on the inside. So now he realizes he has to defend the other way around. And let's see how late Lundvall will be braking into that first corner again. Same braking spot, but now he turns in much better than Wallmeyer into the first corner, closing the door into the second one, and stays in the lead again. So that's impressive how he can handle that AMG, because of course he's the only one driving in that car here tonight, but he's driving the other guys behind him crazy, and you can see that now. There's Simon Christmann taking that position from Björn Wallmeyer. So Wallmeyer was held up so much that Christmann is passing him and crosses Katsouras on the outside now against Wallmeyer. But into these two corners, when you're on the outside, there's not much of a chance to get a position.
And I think this is what we saw in almost every race of Linus Lundvall, that he positioned pretty good in the midfield. And after the first lap, he just closed the door behind him and doesn't let someone past him, just like he was some gatekeeper of the first half of the complete race field. And unless he was not touched, he stayed in the position, or sometimes made one or two steps forward. But he's very good at holding positions and grabbing onto one place and don't giving it away.
Oh, now let's take a look at that. What are they doing? There was a slight disconnect, or maybe a lag for Linus Lundvall, and that's now why Simon Christmann, why they're all passing him. That was weird. There wasn't a contact between Linus and Lundvall. Linus had just a lag drop down a few positions, so let's just look at that again. There you can see he was on the outside, and then it just made zack. There, yeah, that was.
Then he was off.
Yeah, there was an internet connection issues, or maybe he had a short freeze. That would explain why he was off track in that situation. Well, that's really, really sad, because he was doing such a fine job staying in 5th position. And now it's the internet connection, or maybe his hardware, that caused him to lose 3 positions at once. Marcelo Tocco showing us that you can drift with a Bentley GT3 on that track while chasing Stefan Dänicke. Oskar Köhnen right behind, and then Sturk Karnat and Jürgen Wallmeyer, the 13th driver. They are still going, while Christoph Müller had that early accident and Christian Martin lost the engine the beginning of the race.
And now we see the field stretching a bit, but keeping, but it's pretty intense right away. So there's not much between them, but it's stretching a bit. All the drivers are getting.
Lundvall in trouble, as well as Björn Wallmeyer. There must have been contact. Yeah, and Kostas Katsouras made his way past, and it looks like the mistake started with Wallmeyer. Kostas Katsouras. It looks to me that Katsouras was a bit surprised about the long braking by Björn Wallmeyer, because Katsouras was braking early enough and tried to take the inside line, and then he hit the back of Wallmeyer, but then Lundvall hit the back of the car of Katsouras, and that's why Lundvall was dropping down to 11th position. So that's really sad for Lundvall. You can see him, and just hits the back. You don't expect someone to braking outside of a corner or exiting a corner.
And we have Stefan Dänicke.
Yeah, and there must have been another accident.
Yes, this one.
Spinning. Oh, a lot of luck there for Marcelo Tocco, and then rejoining the track. I almost thought he would be hitting Linus Lundvall as well. Oh, and he hits the back of Björn Wallmeyer.
It's Jürgen Wallmeyer.
Jürgen Wallmeyer.
Is it Björn?
Yeah. No, it must have been Jürgen, actually. Yes. Thank you.
Then this one we have. Yeah, and we have Jürgen Wallmeyer after that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's Jürgen Wallmeier, and a lot of luck there for Dirk Carnot to pass the spinning car of Jürgen Wallmeier, but Björn Wallmeier down to 8th position as well. So a lot of mixed up positions just within one lap. But I'm quite surprised that Christian Niewood is currently a bit faster than David Haas, if I'm not mistaken. David Haas only in 4th position. Of course, he won't be caught by any of the other drivers. He is more than 25 points ahead of Juan Juano. So currently it would be 2nd position in the championship for David Haas. And the title would be therefore Christian Michel. That's the current situation. So we can focus more on the action that's happening further down the pack. And of course, because of those problems they had, because of those accidents, the quicker drivers are now somewhere behind the slower ones. And Björn Wallmeier, who finished on the podium in the first race, currently in 8th behind Marcelo Tocco. And Wallmeier is to be expected quicker than Tocco, but of course the car of Wallmeier has some damage. And the Bentley looks to be even a bit quicker on the straight line currently as the Corvette. Look at that, how early Tocco is braking, and Wallmeier just closing the gap within one corner. But maybe Tocco learned a bit from Lundvall when it comes to defending a position. It doesn't look like there was an early mistake there by Tocco, and Björn Wallmeier takes 7th position easily from the Bentley driver. And Oskar Köhnen not that far away, and he's chased by Linus Lundvall. Who's at least back in the top 10. But I'll be honest with you, if it's coming down to the decision of the driver of the day, I would vote for Linus.
Yeah, I would too. He had hold up just like a wall. If there wasn't this internet connection or local machine failure, he would have hold up the complete pack for the rest of the race, I'm sure.
I'm not sure it's down to the car, maybe the AMG a bit with a disadvantage considering the race speed, but I think Lundvall just needs to work on his speed during the race. He doesn't need to work on his skill of defending a position. There you can see how long it takes to make a move against Oskar Köhnen. Köhnen leaves the door open. No way for the Corvette driver to get that position back from Lundvall, and you can always see it from Lundvall. He just after that pass, he right away starts to position the car on the track so he can take the next corner on in the best way as possible. So I'm not sure where the problem is considering his speed. Maybe the setup is not the best in terms of top speed or cornering speed, but it's definitely built quite safe, so he doesn't have any sliding or much sliding of the car.
We have Stefan Denecke lost a place and is now in the last place, and he lost the track.
Yeah. Oh, that was a weird spin by the McLaren driver. Maybe
and Marcelo Tocco was overtaken by Linus Lundvall because of this slight mistake.
And that was really a bad position to have with drift, because he lost all the momentum up the hill. And I wonder if Köhnen also took advantage from that. No, but he nearly did. Köhnen still behind Tocco. But some good car control there by Marcelo Tocco. Others might have lost the car entirely, but he showed us a quite neat drift. Still, Lundvall exited that corner much better, whilst David Haas is looking for another podium position right behind Christian Niebuhr.
Trying to creep up to Christian Niebuhr and getting in a good position for being on the podium, and has to win for winning the title, and I think this is not possible anymore because there's like 13 seconds between them, but I think he will get to a good second place in the points when he can overtake Christian Niebuhr and position on third. Or do the points make up for this? Will he get second place?
He will definitely get second place, because he is currently, that was a bit too much contact. He is 26 points ahead of Juan Franjuano, who's in third in the championship, and you get 25 points for a victory. So David Haas is safe. So wherever, even if he don't score any points, he will definitely be second in the championship. So that's safe for him.
And we now see that Stefan Denik is out of the race.
Maybe a bit too much problems, because he had that unusual spin mid-corner. The number 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, but David Haas, he is definitely second in the championship. Now anything can happen. He definitely won't lose this position, but of course, if he finishes ahead of Christian Michel, he will be the winner of the GT3 Winter Challenge. But actually, I think that can only happen if there will be some kind of huge problem for Christian Michel, because we're talking of a gap of more than 16 seconds down to David Haas. So Christian Michel only has to make sure that he not has any kind of engine failure throughout the rest of the race. I think he learned his lesson early on in the season when he didn't score points in the first race. And don't ask me why I'm always saying scare than score. Maybe his scoring is scaring me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's pretty scary how he took over the championship.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope we will see Christian Michel some more in somewhere else on sim racing, because I think he has the talent to score big points in other events too. Just to be honest, to be really quick in rfactor 2, that takes a lot of skill, especially things like looking for maybe an engine damage, or looking for maybe the engine program, so that you're turning down the power of the car, and looking for maybe fuel consumption. That's not a thing you're looking for too much in a 30-minute sprint race, but it's definitely a thing you're looking when you're driving longer races, and that's all details you don't find in most of the other simulations. So for example, in Assetto Corsa, it's nearly impossible to wreck your engine, especially in a GT3 car, because that has an automatic block if you're downshifting too early. So rfactor 2 is definitely one of the most difficult simulations. Because, for example, if you lock the brakes, or lock the tires under braking, you're really getting problems with your tires. If you do that a few times, you have a square wheel after that, and you definitely need to change the tires. You don't find that on any of the other simulations in that huge kind of simulated details. And that's much more you have to look for in this simulation than on other simulations. And if you are really quick in this one, I can assure you will be quick on the other ones as well. So I hope Christian Michel will look for More competition, whilst Linus Lundvall is trying to make that move against Marcelo Tocco, and I think Marcelo Tocco was going wide in that corner in turn 6 and 7. I don't think he expected that AMG to be there, and I hope for Tocco he didn't hit the wall. Yeah, got lucky there. Oh, that was close.
And we had David Haas going in front of Tristan Niewood.
Classic situation out of the slipstream. Later braking by David Haas. Still, Niewood didn't make it easy for David Haas.
And now Dirk Carnot off the track. And seems to have pretty hard problems getting his car under control.
Yeah, and especially that is a huge amount of damage, I'm afraid. So if we will see him in the pits, but I think so.
Can't hold his car straight.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that.
And he's going to the pit.
And look what's the reason. The right front wheel is missing.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's obvious why he has to come into the pits. Marcelo Tocco now with a move against Oscar Koenen. And he at least takes back 9th position from the Corvette driver.
And now Dirk Carnot is not coming back. Did not finish.
Either the pit crew won't repair his car at all, or he's just saying, okay, now I would have to wait for 2 minutes or something in the pits to repair the car, and it's only 7 minutes to go. So I think it's just logical that you don't want to race anymore if you're behind, about 3 laps behind, and not only for 5 minutes. No points for Dirk Carnot. But he wasn't fighting in the championship at all, so I don't think it's that much of a problem for him. Oscar
Slight
Koenen.
hit of Oscar Koenen. Just pushing him, saying, hey, want to go faster?
I'm not sure if that slight contact between Tocco and Lundvall maybe caused some aero damage to that Bentley, so the car is not as quick on the in the straight line as it was before.
And we have Simon Crispin chasing Tristan Niewood now.
I wonder if Niewood maybe punished his tires a bit too much by trying to keep David Haas behind him. Schürmann in the slipstream of Tristan Niewood, but I don't think it's enough to make a move into the first corner. Up to turn 4 and 5 again, but Schürmann, he's taking it careful. Gotta go back behind Tristan Niewood when he realizes there is not really a gap to try to pass Wood in that grey, white and red, or grey, blue, white and red Corvette.
Yeah, I think he doesn't want to get too aggressive because of it's now 4 minutes to go, and risking to do damage to both cars is just, it's too risky to buy something aggressive, especially on 4th and 5th position. And so I think he's doing it just when there is a big opportunity for him to go around.
Yeah, and it looks like Niewood was quicker on the exit of that nearly last corner again, and no way there for Simon Christmann to take 4th position from Niewood. Further down, I think Kostas Kansouras is under pressure by Björn Wahlmeier. Wahlmeier trying to make his way back further up the grid. Only 3.5 minutes to go. So not that much of time left for Wahlmeier, and maybe he still can pass Kostas Kansouras. Sadly, at the current lineup on the track, it's all the positions in the championship are safe, because the important drivers, or the relevant drivers who still could cause a change in the championship on the list of drivers, they are not here today. So for example, Thomas André Hamiari-Soa would still have the chance to battle for maybe, or to fight for 7th and 8th position in the championship. He isn't there, and with the current 5th position for Simon Christmann, he would take actually the 9th position of André Hamiari-Soa in the championship.
We had a slight off track of Juan Franruano, but I think everything is safe. He dropped 2 seconds on Christian Michel, but I think he hadn't a chance anyway.
Yeah, without a technical issue by Christian Michel, it's safe to say that they will keep their positions. David Haas more than 7 seconds behind Juan Franruano, and Simon Christmann still fighting against Christian Niewood.
Oh, and Björn Wahlmeier overtook Kostas Kansouras.
Yeah, because of a braking mistake of the Greek driver. Just too late on the brakes into the first corner, and then the door on the inside line is wide open. And Björn Wahlmeier just waving his hands out of the car saying thanks, and takes 6th position from Kansouras, scoring a few more points for Wahlmeier GT, his own racing team. And I think after this one it will be the last lap. So not much time left for Simon Christmann, considering taking 4th position from Christian Niewood.
He's playing it safe, but he has 1 and maybe a half lap to go. And I think this will not suffice to get in front of Christian Niewood if he's not having some brake mistake or something else.
So number 1 again. Christmann a bit on the curbs. The car starts sliding, but he might exiting turn 3 a bit better than Christian Niewood. So this could be the chance against Niewood. Niewood moving to the inside, coming up to turn number 4. He's trying in the middle of the track. Good way to defend the position by Christian Niewood. So no way for Christmann to go for an attack. So Niewood stays in 4th, and Christmann is running out of time through these last few corners in this last lap of the last race in the GT3 Winter Challenge. Christian Michel, who lost a few positions at the start, in the end it's the same procedure as always. A double victory here in Interlagos and a well-earned championship title in the GT3 Winter Challenge of RF2 Racingleague. Congratulations, Juan Franruano. After several problems in the first race, he finishes in 2nd in the 2nd race and scores enough points to stay in 3rd position in the championship. David Haas, he comes 3rd, and that means 2nd position. And behind it's Christian Niewood defending 4th position against
Simon Christmann.
Simon Christmann, sorry. and Christmann in 5th, but it was a pretty nice fight. Björn Wallmeier in 6th ahead of Kostas Kantsouras, and Linus Lundvall, he in the end ends up in 8th position. Won't be quite happy with the results, but he had a lot of action going on around him. Marcelo Tocco with the second top 10 result in 9th position ahead of Oskar Köhnen and Jürgen Wallmeier. Way behind the field, but he had more than one accident with another driver, so that's because and that's why he is down to 11th position. Sadly not seeing the black and white checkered flag. It's Dirk Carnat, Stefan Dänicke, Christian Matten and Christoph Müller. And so this is the end of this
second race.
And second race and this season, but of course we won't just stop the stream right away. We will try to get some of the drivers, maybe try to get them into an interview, hopefully. So here some words, of course, especially from Christian Michel, but as well from David Haas and maybe Juan Fran Juano as well. So we will take a short break and then hopefully we'll make our way back and find out what the drivers have to say about this last 2 action-packed races and maybe the GT3 Winter Challenge in general. So I hope you will stay with us for a few more minutes. So we are back now after these two action-packed races here on Interlagos in the last round of the GT3 Winter Challenge. And of course with us now the top 3 drivers from the championship, and of course the most successful driver after his join into the season, and in the end the one who took the title in this short but very interesting challenge, and that's Christian Michel. Christian Michel, the double victory again here in Interlagos. Congratulations, but especially in the second race you had a bit of trouble because of the uphill starting position in Interlagos. So how tough was it, considering that if you would drop down only one race or not scoring points in only one race, that David would take the title?
Yeah, I was aware of the situation that I just had to finish in front of him, so I wasn't that nervous, basically, that I lost the position to Christo, I think it was. So I just followed him and I quickly saw that I'm just quicker, so I tried to pass him, which went pretty good at the end. Then I pushed on for like 2 or 3 laps to get the quickest lap time for that extra point and to open a bit of a gap. And yeah, from there on it was just managing, as Juano wasn't able to close to me. So yeah, and even if he would have closed, I think I would just let him pass and just follow him to the end.
Yeah, so there was no problem for him to look further down the championship list. Only important was it to stay ahead of David Haas. Still, we had some drivers that had a misshift or two and blew their engine, and you had that also during the season. So was that always in the back of your head that hopefully you won't have a problem with the engine?
Surely, but I made absolutely sure I'm not shifting too early.
Okay, so being a bit extra careful when breaking down into the corners. Now taking the title in the GT3 Winter Challenge, even though you joined the series at the 3rd round, what were your expectations? Are you a bit surprised that you took the title, even though you started later on in the series?
Depends. I mean, the win does give a lot more points than basically P4, P3, whatever. So you can catch up pretty quickly. And yeah, I mean, some races were closer than they looked, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Okay, so of course, if you finish second, you get 7 points less already than the leader, or if you take a victory. And you took a lot of victories, except one, the first race in Sakir, you won all the other races. So the title, of course, is well earned. Are you going to stay with the RF2 Racingleague? Because currently there is a discussion about how to continue in this league, about what kind of events will come next.
Yeah, I think so. I will stay. It's great fun to race here with great people, and also pretty good competition. And yeah, why not?
Okay, so we're
this
looking
question
forward.
I want to redirect to the others as well. Are you staying with the RF2 Racingleague, or are you just confused by the organizers or something not going well? David, maybe? Okay.
Yeah, I guess David is a bit surprised. The question goes to him now at the moment. I think we just wanted again, congratulations to Christian Michel about that victory, not only taking the championship title in the drivers championship, but also together with Simon Christmann, it's the title for MC Racing in the team championship. So are you a bit jealous about all the racing action that was going on around Simon, or are you just fine with driving in the lead more or less alone?
It's always fun to have some battles or to catch up. I mean, driving at the front gets, to say, a bit boring after a few laps. I like both, but yeah, I think it's more fun to fight with someone.
Okay, so maybe looking for some more competition in the next season, whatever this will be. Definitely not a winter challenge. This is over for now. So Christian Michel, yeah, congratulations again and thank you for the interview.
Thanks.
And of course, we will continue with David Haas after still two very good races tonight. It wasn't quite enough to still stay in the lead in the championship, but was second position in race number 1 and third in race number 2. You definitely had some fighting throughout both races. Are you still happy with the result? And does it hurt much that you lost the lead in the championship so late, or did you some way expected it considering the pace of Christian Michel?
Yeah, I've been calculating the scores during a few races, and it's all, every race was third, second for me. And Christian and Juan were much faster than me. I really can't compete with them, so it was a no-brainer that one of them would eventually end up taking the lead. It surprises me that I have been on the lead for a few races, because this is actually my first year, my first league actually. So I would be happy if I would be fighting for top 10 positions, but it went much better than expected. But it's not only due to my own skills, but more because of Rob Timpen. Yeah, he stopped the league. Christian Michel joined later, so he missed the first two races, and Juan had many times he had bad luck, causing him to not finish on the place where he belongs to, and that's first or second. So I got lucky to be even fighting for first place, but I did expect to lose it at this race, to be honest, yeah. But still, it was big fun. The first race I had to keep my eyes on the mirror on Björn Wallmeyer, who was catching me. And in the second race I had to look in front of me at Christo Nieuwoud. I think he had there was a bit of a lag going on between us, and so we crashed or we touched in the first turn. So I had to take it a little bit easier, and I had to make sure that the difference in speed was significant to do it the next time. So I started preparing it, and it worked out pretty well in the end. So yeah, it was a very fun race, the second one. All the other ones have been pretty boring, to be honest, but this was a fun one.
Okay, so maybe looking forward in the future to see some more action-packed race. Of course, in the end, some of the drivers you were competing with throughout the season left the GT3 Winter Challenge or didn't continue. So maybe it got a bit boring because of that. In the end, you finished with Troller Bull in the fourth position. Of course, you were the one who scored most of the points, and there was something maybe not you did look at too much. Talking about the future with maybe more action-packed races for you, are you going to stay with the GT3 with the RF2 Racingleague, as Lukas asked earlier?
Yes, I'm definitely planning to stay, but it depends on the schedule. If the races are around the same time as now and on a Sunday, then it will fit my schedule, and I'll be definitely in it.
So if Lukas doesn't have any more questions,
you asked all the questions I could come up with.
Okay.
As I thought of questions, you just said them.
Yeah, it happens from time to time. So, David Haas, again, congratulations to, of course, 2 podium results tonight here in Interlagos and the second position in the championship. And thank you for the interview as well.
Yeah, thanks, and congratulations to Christian.
And we will continue with Juan Guerra. Juan, congratulations for, in the end, third position in the championship. David already said you had some troublesome races throughout the season. Otherwise, you might have been battling maybe even for the title. Still, it was there was quite a lot of action going on around you in both races. So how is it for you? Are you happy about all the action you had throughout this evening, or is it a bit more that you're thinking you would have liked to take a second position in the championship?
I think I have a lot of bad luck, but I am very happy. Anyway, I finished the competition, and yes, David has had a very good performance too, and Christian Michel is uncontestable, very good. And yes, maybe next time I will go with more luck.
So also looking forward for another series in the RF2 Racingleague, I guess.
Yeah, I think I can continue with this league, another league in this company.
Okay, so the entire season you said you had some bad luck, but sounds like you were definitely enjoying the fights with all the other drivers.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, Lukas, maybe now you have still another question.
Yeah, want to know if it was hard. Were you looking at the points, or have you said I just give my best and it's not as I don't care about the points?
I don't know, Juan, if he noticed that the question was to him.
Sorry, I can hear you. You can repeat me?
I just wanted to know if you were up and looked after the points, or were you driving just for fun and not looking for the points, just doing your best?
I play for fun. I compete if it's possible to win, but if I can't, anyway, I am happy to compete in this competition.
Okay. No more questions.
So we're looking forward, of course, to see you continue enjoying the action here at the RF2 Racingleague, and there's already something new planned. And coming to this, of course, we have the one person here with us who's responsible for all of that, and that's Björn Wahlmeier. First of all, Björn, congratulations to your result today, because had some good racing. In the end, it's fourth position in the championship. Good work there as well. And Björn, happy about how the GT3 Winter Challenge turned out?
Yes, it was really exciting. 4 drivers in contention to win the championship. I mean, my chances were very small. I knew that, and I just wanted to give my best and see what comes out.
Yeah, in the end, it was a podium in the first race and sixth position in the second one. So that still scored quite a lot of points and made sure that you would stay in fourth position in the championship. So now, considering the series in general, are you satisfied how it was, and what are the kind of experience you now maybe can use for upcoming next series?
Yes, I think we had a lot of fun in all the races. Either if you are quick or slower drivers, all had fun, I think. And yes, I'm really looking forward for the new plans and another GT3 season.
Yeah, of that, did you experience any issues that can be eliminated pretty quick just by doing something on the rules? Did you plan something on that?
There will be some rule changes, yes. The standing start will be no longer. We will have a flying start into the races. I think that's the most important rule change.
Okay. Yeah.
So no more uphill starting in like today.
No.
Yeah, okay, so maybe we already have someone in the YouTube chat who is asking for what's coming up next. So can you already tell what kind of GT3 series will follow now after the Winter Challenge?
Yes, we plan an American tour on American tracks. Season opener in Daytona, if I'm right. Second one at Road Atlanta, then Mid-Ohio, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, and then night race in Daytona.
Sounds very, very interesting, and of course, very demanding as well, because some tracks not that easy. Are you maybe thinking about some changes to the points? I mean, Christian Michel already said it and during the interview that it's quite easy to take a lead if you set a few victories, or maybe get some points for drivers behind the top 10, or are you staying with that?
That's not decided yet. At the moment, the top 10 score points, and it will be the amount of drivers in the test race at the end of March, and then we will decide with the points.
Okay, so still waiting for or expecting some changes throughout those rules maybe as well. Well, I would say, Björn, before we come to the end of the stream, of course, Lukas, maybe you have also one or two questions for Björn as well.
Yeah, like I asked before, there will be rule changes, yeah, and I'm pretty excited to see American tracks, or to cast American tracks if they want me as a caster there. And I want to thank you for getting me into the casting of RF2, or especially sim racing, because that's partly Björn's reward. And I just want to say thank you and not ask any questions.
Thank you to you.
I wanted to join in with that. So Björn, of course, thank you as well for organizing that RF2 Racingleague with all the work you put behind this. And I think we can also say a thank you to Cold Fox Arts, which were who were responsible for the artworks and everything. So for the support of the RF2 Racingleague, and hopefully they will stay with us or stay with the RF2 Racingleague for any future events. And of course, thank you, Lukas, for joining me in commentating this series, because I think it was a lot of fun commentating together rather than doing it alone. And of course, sadly, we couldn't all do every race together, but
thank you for enduring me, partly because I didn't have something to say, because I'm pretty new to this, and you held up the flag and helped me out on some time, and I want to say thank you to you too.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. and of course it was a pleasure commentating this series. It's always interesting to see a lot of international drivers fighting and competing against each other, and it still works. Shows that sim racing is not only a national thing but an international e-sport. I will just call it that, and hopefully it will stay this way. I hope for the RF2 Racingleague that more drivers will join in. And for tonight, I like to say thanks, of course, to all the drivers who made it possible and all the viewers, maybe live or later on in the VOD. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any kind of criticism or ideas, just write it down into the comments. And if you like, we would like a thumbs up, because it helps the RF2 Racingleague. And of course, thank you to P1 Media who made the stream possible, especially Markus Broch, who is the person responsible of all that technical stuff in considering the stream.
And I would like to say also thank you to Christoph Müller. He's doing the homepage and server. So from my side, thank you to him also.
Of course, we join in with this as well, because without that, there won't be any racing going on here. And yeah, last but not least, just if you like what's going on P1 Media, feel free to subscribe. And for tonight, we would say thanks for watching, have a good night, and bye-bye.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thanks,
Bye.
good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Single file, the caution lights are down, George is. Green flag! Eric McNutt stalls it on the back straightaway, the yellow comes out. They said he might never win a Grand Prix.